One of the most recurring questions that has been coming up since the verdict got out has been based on what Amber plans to do now that she is lost, especially considering that her loss was pretty public and huge. Well, the judge that presided over the 6-week-long trial has finally issued an order, and trust me, you're not going to believe what she ordered. So, exactly where does this whole case end up? We all know that ever since the release of the verdict in Johnny Depp's favor, Amber and her people have been blaming everyone, including the judge, for how things turned out. Well, the judge called for all parties to meet in court and thrash the whole issue out. Their most recent meeting wasn't public, as only the trial was slated for that. However, we did have a lot of reporters on site, and according to them, Amber couldn't be in a more terrible position than she currently is. Now, according to reports, this meeting in court was basically a formality for the parties involved to discuss the verdict and any issues they may have with it. And to our utmost surprise, it was a pretty brief meeting.
In Fairfax County, Virginia, where Law and Crime's own Anjanette Levy is with us. She was present in the courtroom for the final, or perhaps the final hearing in the Johnny Depp Amber Heard defamation suit. Anjanette, good to see you. So what can you tell us about the possible conclusion of this case? Walk us through what happened today.
Well, Jesse, good morning to you. The hearing was pretty brief. Basically, what happened was there was discussion about the judgment, and this was kind of a formality, this hearing, and this was for basically the judge to enter the judgment. Okay, so we had the jury's verdict.
I know you're probably shocked too, but it gets more interesting. Well, the reason it was so short is because Amber's people didn't have much of a leg to stand on after the judge decided that she would actually need to pay Johnny's money, regardless of what plans she had in mind. And when the talks of an appeal started to come up, the judge maintained that she would still need to come up with the money she owes and an extra 6% interest per year. Now that's a lot.
Hearing, and the judge, Judge Ascarati, was very no-nonsense as usual, actually more no-nonsense than usual, Jesse. And she basically said, I don't need a hearing on any of this stuff. I've had this case for 18 months, and we had a 6-week trial. So she said, if you have a motion, file the motion. It can be decided on the papers. Elaine Bredehoff was also wanting to address this bond that has to be filed by Amber Heard in order to appeal the case. And so she wanted to discuss that as well in a post-trial motion, I should say. And Judge Ascarati basically said, well, you can address whatever you want, but you have to file the bond. And that bond would be the $8.35 million plus 6% interest per year. And the judge basically made no bones about it. If you want to appeal, you have to file that money in order to do so. So it didn't sound like Elaine Bredehoff.
At this point, it was pretty obvious from the reporter's expression that things started to heat up in the courtroom because Amber had basically just lost on the last front she held. Although Elaine mentioned in court that they were going to fight the judge's ruling on them having to pay the $8.3 million bond. But given that the judge is pretty exhausted about the case, coupled with the fact that Amber has been on TV blabbing about how she was cheated by the legal system, there's almost no chance that anything productive could actually come out of them battling it out in court. Of course, all of this was the center of several conversations online, and the takes of some of the fans might actually surprise you more than you'd expect. One user wrote, well, Amber doesn't have a choice in paying him or not. The law has ordered to pay the over $8 million she owes him, and that will stick with her for as long as it takes till she pays it all, even if it takes years. It won't go away till Johnny gets that money she owes him. We're not really sure where all of this will reach or if Amber actually even has the money to pay the actor, but one thing is certain, and that is that this whole thing has pretty much reached an end with Johnny still standing on top. But will this be enough to stop her from blemishing his good name in public? Tell us what you think in the comments section.